Today's lesson is a look at string bending, and there's a particular exercise that I teach people quite often, which I think really helps with your string bends. And the key thing with bending a string is obviously getting it to the right pitch. So you should be familiar with what a string bend is, hopefully, if you're watching this, but just to remind you, it's where you play a note on one string, you push the string, normally it's upwards, but if you're on the thicker strings, then you pull them downwards to reach the pitch of another note. It's a bit like playing a note and then turning one of these just to change the pitch. So for example, if I play this 7 on the 3rd string, which is a D, I can bend it to make it sound like an E, which is 2 frets away. So here's the sound of the E. So now I'll bend the D note to sound like that E. And the basic technique for bending, usually your 3rd finger is the one that you'll find is the right one for the string bend because of the way it falls in the scale patterns and things. The 3rd finger is normally the best one, but your 2nd finger is your strongest one. So usually what you would do is use the 3rd finger to play the actual note, but have your 2nd finger right behind it, either in the squashed up like that or in its own fret, doesn't matter, but it helps push the string up. This finger looks like it's helping pushing the string, but it's not. This one is resting lightly on the strings here, just so that if I accidentally catch the string as it comes down again, then that stops that from really twanging. It's a good habit to get into. Anyway, this exercise is where you take a scale and just play it on the 2nd string. Now the scale we're going to use as the example is G pentatonic minor. So the one that you may already know for this is. So what I'm going to do is take that scale, put it up an octave, just take the top half of that, which is, and I'm going to try and find those notes all on the 2nd string. And the exercise is to bend from a previous note in the scale to each of those. Now the previous note to the first one is that. Because if I go back to the scale pattern here, so I'm going to play this note and bend it to make it sound like that note. And then I go to that note that we've just made the sound of, and I'll bend that one to sound like the next note in the scale. Now the next note is here at 11. So that's going to be a bigger bend. So we've got, and that's instead of. And you hear that I'm making the same notes, I'm making the sound of those 2 notes, but with a bend instead. And the tricky part about this exercise is that some of these bends are 3 fret bends and some are 2 frets. So you're going between a bigger bend and a smaller bend, and that's the hard part. So I'll play the first 2 again. Now I go to the note we've just made, bend that one 2 frets. Go along 2 frets, bend that one 2 frets. To sound like this. Go to that one, bend this one 3 frets because the next note is there. Then go along 3. This is the last one. This is a 2 fret bend. So the sound we should be getting in terms of notes is this. Played on one string, played as bends. bit faster. You can get some cool effects using this idea as well. It's an exercise primarily, but you can get Jeff Beck style effects, you know, things like this. So it's a good little technique to get the hang of. So I hope that's useful, and if it is, please subscribe. Thanks.